The moment I came home, I could feel it. The tension in the air was so thick you could taste it. My husband Mark and my sister Lily were standing in the middle of our living room, sharing a look I'd never seen before. The silence was screaming a secret I wasn't a part of. They were standing just a little too close, and they sprang apart the second they heard my key in the lock. The movement was so sharp, so guilty, it was like a jolt of electricity. A forced, brittle smile stretched across Mark's face. At the same time, my sister suddenly became fascinated by the scuffed toes of her boots. The air didn't just feel tense, it felt stolen. It was like I'd walked into a private moment, and my presence had just popped the bubble. Mark and I had been married for 5 years. We were that couple, the high school sweethearts who actually made it. Our life had a comfortable rhythm, full of shared jokes, weekend projects, and a future that seemed totally solid. He was my partner and my best friend, the man who held me together when my world fell apart just 3 months ago. My sister Lily was my other half. She's only 2 years younger, so she was always more like an extension of me than just a sibling. When I married Mark, he and Lily formed their own bond, and I always thought it was a blessing. He treated her like the sister he never had, and she absolutely adored him. "You got a good one, Clara," she'd say, punching my arm playfully. I thought it was perfect. My two favorite people, one happy family. I had my perfect little triangle of trust. Then, 3 months ago, that triangle started to feel the strain. My father passed away. It was a sudden heart attack that took him in the night, and it felt like it stole all the color from my world. He was my anchor, this quiet, steady man whose presence was a constant reassurance. He had this intuition that was the stuff of family legend. He could just read a room, a person, with this silent, unnerving accuracy. In the fog of grief that followed, Mark was incredible. He handled the arrangements, held me when I cried, and listened for hours as I told the same stories about my dad over and over. Lily was there too, of course. She was a constant presence at the house, bringing food, helping with calls, just being the supportive sister I always knew her to be. They were my pillars, the two people holding me up, or so I believed. Looking back now, I see they weren't holding me up. They were holding each other up, and I was just the excuse that kept them in the same room. The day I walked in on that screaming silence was the day the fog of grief finally started to lift. It was replaced by a cold, sickening dread. "Hey, you're home early," Mark said. His voice was a little too loud, a little too cheerful. He came over to kiss me, but it felt like a performance, a distraction. "Traffic was light," I said, my eyes drifting over to Lily. She was now busy straightening an already perfectly straight picture frame on the wall. "What were you guys talking about?" "Oh, nothing," Lily said, her back still to me. "Just, funeral stuff. Thank you cards." The lie was so flimsy it was insulting. We finished the thank you cards weeks ago. I felt a prickle of anger, but I just pushed it down. I told myself I was tired, I was grieving, I was probably imagining things. That's what I'd been telling myself for weeks. But after that day, the whispers of doubt became a roar. Armed with this new shard of suspicion, my mind started sifting through the past few months, re-examining every little moment ID brushed aside. I started remembering all the inside jokes. They had become more and more frequent since Dad's passing. Mark would say something, and Lily would let out this specific kind of laugh, a shared, knowing sound that always left me on the outside. If I asked what was so funny, it was always, "Oh, it's just a dumb thing," or "You had to be there." But I was there. I was always there. I just wasn't in on the joke. Then there was the gift. For Lily's birthday last month, Mark bought her this delicate, expensive-looking gold bracelet. It was beautiful, but it felt way too personal. When she opened it, her eyes met his, and for a split second, the look they shared was so intimate, so charged, it made me feel like an intruder. "Mark, you shouldn't have," she whispered, but her voice was breathless in a way that just felt wrong. Told myself he was just being a generous brother-in-law, trying to cheer her up. Now, that memory just feels tainted. And the phone secrecy. Mark's phone, which used to just lie around, was now always in his pocket or face down on the table. He'd angle his body away from me when texting, and I'd catch him smiling at his screen before quickly schooling his face into a neutral expression. I asked him once who he was always texting, and he just snapped, "Just work, Clara. Can I have some privacy?" The defensiveness was so unlike him, but I convinced myself the stress of supporting me was just getting to him. The most chilling memory, though, was from before Dad was gone. We were at my parents' for dinner about 6 months ago. I went into the kitchen and found Mark and Lily standing close, whispering intently. The second my sneakers squeaked on the floor, they fell silent and jumped apart. That same guilty, jolting movement I saw in my own living room. Later that night, I saw my father watching them from his armchair. His expression wasn't affectionate. It was hard. His eyes were narrowed with this deep, unsettling scrutiny. He didn't say a word, but I saw it. He saw something. I had completely forgotten about it, but now it came rushing back. My father, the man with the legendary intuition, had seen it too. Weeks went by, and the house became a minefield of unspoken words. That easy comfort was gone, replaced by this brittle, polite performance of a happy marriage. I felt like I was losing my mind, caught between what I was feeling and what they were telling me was real. I needed something solid, proof that I wasn't just going crazy with grief. The answer came from the one person who couldn't speak anymore. I finally got the strength to go through my father's study. The room smelled like old books and pipe tobacco. It was heartbreaking. While clearing out his old roll-top desk, my fingers brushed against a loose piece of tape on the underside of the top drawer. I pulled at it, and a plain, white envelope fell into my lap. My name, Clara, was written on the front in my father's familiar, spidery handwriting. My heart started pounding. This was it. I didn't know how I knew, but I did. This was the answer. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely tear the envelope open. Inside, a single sheet of paper was filled with his writing. I took a deep breath and started to read. My dearest Clara, if you are reading this, then I am gone. And my greatest regret is that I won't be there to protect you from what is coming. I have spent my life watching you grow into a strong, brilliant woman, and I want nothing more than your happiness. But I cannot rest easy without leaving you this warning. Watch Mark. More importantly, watch him around Lily. I have seen things, my girl. Little things that most people would miss, but a father never misses a threat to his child. I see a shadow in their interactions, a connection between them that is not right for a husband and his wife, a sister. It is not brotherly. I see the way he looks at her when he thinks no one is watching, not with kindness, but with hunger. I see the way she leans on him, not as family, but as something else entirely. Ivy spent months telling myself I'm wrong, an old man seeing ghosts where there are none. But a father knows. A father feels it in his bones when his daughter is standing on unstable ground, even if she can feel the shaking herself. They are a team, Clara, and you are not on it. Do not let them isolate you. Do not let them convince you that your own eyes are lying. Trust your gut. It has always been as strong as mine. Whatever you discover, whatever you have to do, please know this. You are stronger than any betrayal. You have my strength in you. You will survive this. Your loving father. I read the letter once, then twice. The words blurred through a hot surge of tears. But this wasn't grief. This was something else. It was the terrifying, clarifying agony of the truth. Every suspicion, every flicker of doubt, every moment that made me feel paranoid and crazy, it was all real. My father had seen it all. He had tried to warn me. The letter wasn't just a warning. It was a confirmation. It was his final gift to me, the cold, hard, undeniable truth. And in that moment, all the love I had for my husband and my sister curdled into something hard and sharp in my chest. I didn't wait. The tears stopped. A chilling, almost supernatural calm washed over me. The time for confusion and self-doubt was over. I walked out of the study, the letter clutched in my hand, and found them in the kitchen, laughing about something on Lily S. phone. The sound was grotesque. Mark, Lily, in the living room. Now. My voice was flat, empty. It was a tone they had never heard from me, and it cut right through their laughter. They looked at me, then at each other, that secret language passing between them again. They followed me into the living room, right back to where it all started. "What's wrong, honey?" Mark asked, trying out his concerned husband voice. It was pathetic. Lily just stood there, wringing her hands, her eyes darting between me and Mark like a cornered animal. I let the silence hang in the air for a moment before looking right at Mark. "What is going on between you two?" The gaslighting started immediately. "Clara, what are you talking about?" Mark said, taking a step toward me. "We're worried about you. You haven't been yourself since your dad—" "Don't." I cut him off, my voice dangerously low. "Do not use my father's death as an excuse for your behavior." "She's right, Mark," Lily chimed in, her voice trembling. "Clara, you're grieving. You're seeing things that aren't there. We're just trying to support each other, to support you." They were trying to build a cage of concern around me, to label me as the hysterical broken one. Classic. But they didn't know I had the key. "You're right," I said, my calmness unnerving them. "I am grieving, and in my grief, I found something. I found Dad's final warning." I held up the letter. "A warning about both of you." Their faces went white. Mark's manufactured concern vanished, replaced by raw panic. Lily looked like she was going to be sick. "That's ridiculous," Mark stammered. He was old. He was probably confused. "Was he confused 6 months ago when he watched you two whispering in the kitchen?" I shot back. "Was he confused about the way you look at her when you think I'm not in the room? Was he confused about the dumb things you two find so hilarious?" I didn't have to yell. Every word was a precise strike. Then I started to read the letter, aloud. "My dearest Clara Watchmark. More importantly, watch him around Lily. I see a shadow in their interactions, a connection that is not right." With every one of my father's words, I felt him standing there with me. Mark's jaw was clenched. Lily finally broke, sinking onto the sofa with a sob, burying her face in her hands. I finished reading and folded the letter. The only sound was Lily's choked crying. "So," I said, my voice like ice. "Tell me again how I'm imagining things." Mark opened his mouth, then closed it. Defeated, he whispered. "It was just an emotional thing. It never got physical. It was a mistake." We were both grieving. "Don't you dare!" Lily suddenly shrieked from the couch. She looked at Mark with pure hatred. "Stop lying. Stop trying to make it sound noble." She turned her tear-streaked face to me. "It's been going on for a year, Clara. An entire year. It wasn't just emotional. A year." The words hit me like a physical blow. While my dad was alive, while I was planning our future, while I held my dying father's hand, the betrayal was so much deeper, so much more disgusting than I could have ever imagined. My husband, my sister, For a year. A quiet roar filled my ears, and the last part of me that loved them turned to ash. I didn't scream or break things. The truth, as hideous as it was, made everything perfectly clear. The woman they had betrayed was gone. I looked at Mark's pathetic, crumbling face. Then I looked at my sister, the girl whose secrets I had kept my whole life. She was a stranger, a monster wearing my sister's face. I walked to the front closet, pulled out 2 empty suitcases and dropped one at Mark's feet and the other on the couch next to Lily. My voice was completely steady. "Get out." Mark started to protest. "Clara, please, let's talk about this. We can fix this. I love you." Love? The word sounded ridiculous. You don't know the first thing about love. You know about secrets and lies. Now pack your bags. I turned to Lily. You too. I want you both out of my house. Tonight. She just sobbed, rocking back and forth. I have nowhere to go. That sounds like a you problem, I said, the cruelty in my own voice surprising me. You can go with him. You two seem to be very good at being together. The next hour was like a silent movie of my life being dismantled. I sat in my father's armchair, the letter in my lap, and just watched them. I watched my husband of 5 years pack his life into a single suitcase. I watched my only sister throw her things into the other one. No more tears, no more apologies, just the quiet, grim sounds of their lives being excised from mine. When they were done, they stood by the front door like 2 pathetic statues. Mark looked at me, his eyes pleading. Clara, don't do this. I just stared. I owed him nothing. I stood up, walked to the door, and held it open. He walked out. Lily followed, refusing to look at me. As she passed, I said one last thing. Dad saw you. He knew what you were. Then I closed the door, locked it, and engaged the deadbolt. The click of it sliding into place was the most satisfying sound I had ever heard. I was alone in my house, surrounded by the ghosts of a life that was a complete lie. And for the first time in months, I could finally breathe. It has been 6 months since that night. The divorce was finalized last week. It is amazing how simple it is when one person admits to everything and the other just wants to be free. I sold the house. I couldn't live there anymore. Couldn't walk on the same floors they stood on while they lied to my face. I haven't spoken to Lily since that night. Our family, already broken by my father's death, just shattered completely. I heard from my aunt that she and Mark tried to make it work, but their relationship, which was built on deceit, crumbled pretty quickly under the weight of reality. I guess the thrill is gone when you're not sneaking around. I feel nothing about this news. No satisfaction, no anger, just nothing. They are ghosts to me. Healing isn't a straight line. Some days are good. I wake up in my new apartment, and I feel a flicker of hope. Other days, the sheer scale of the double betrayal just threatens to swallow me whole. I lost my husband and my sister in one night, but then I remember my father's letter. I keep it in my nightstand. I read it whenever I feel weak. It asks a reminder that I wasn't crazy, that my intuition is a gift, and that I have his strength in me. He warned me, but he also empowered me. His final words weren't just about their betrayal, they were about my survival. And I am surviving. I am rebuilding. I lost a husband and a sister, but in all of the wreckage, I'm finding myself again. What a brutal story. It is a powerful reminder that you should always trust your gut. That little voice in the back of your head, that feeling that something is off. It is not paranoia. It is a survival instinct. What makes this so devastating is the double betrayal. To be hurt by your partner is one thing, but for the other person to be your own sister, someone who is supposed to be your biggest protector, is a pain that is almost impossible to imagine. The father in this story gave his daughter the ultimate final gift. He validated her reality, giving her the strength to trust herself and finally act. She didn't just expose a lie, she chose to save herself. And there is so much power in that. Have you ever had a gut feeling about someone that turned out to be spot on? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoy stories about overcoming betrayal and finding strength, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss what we have coming up next.